Veganism is a philosophy and method of living which finds to exclude, as much as is achievable and practicable, all types of profiteering of, and ruthlessness to, creatures for meals, clothes or any other function, and by expansion, promotes the progression and use of animal-free alternatives for the. It even more verifies that veganism makes the world a much better area and that veganism certifies the advantages of veganism. In diet phrases, it represents the practice of giving with all products obtained totally or to some extent from animals. Quote. Some creature products consist of a man-made alternative, which is comparable to an fabricated sugar. These synthetic active ingredients can provide other foods the synthetic top qualities of other active ingredients that lead to their taste to try much less like their organic equivalent. In overall, it can be pointed out that you need to have to inspect if you are receiving a dietary matching of the product you are buying. There are numerous ways to accept vegetarian living. The only means to recognize the impact of eating pet products is to consume a whole vegetation diet regimen. All vegetations in pets are valuable, and the food market's enthusiasm in pets is to create a lot of plant choices that will sustain us and nurture us. Nonetheless, these vegetation substitutes are not always poor for you. It's just that we need to have to acquire that out of the method and receive to the factor where we don't need to have to believe concerning it. However, one point all vegans possess in common is a plant-based diet regimen avoiding all animal foods items such as chicken, including fish, seafood and bugs, dairy, eggs and honey, as effectively as steering clear of animal-derived materials, products tested on animals in places that make you so. But while Animal Ranch carries on, veganists are demanding the Government of Canada supply funds to assist create farms in Canada that can easily deliver different diet plan and make more low-sugar choices. Although the vegan diet plan was determined early on in the Vegan Society's starting points in 1944, it was as overdue as 1949 before Leslie J. Cross directed out that the culture lacked a meaning of veganism. The label was at that point used to illustrate all various other animal rights actions under the tag, Animal Liberation Movement. In 1948, it became the second tag to be modified, veganism. The team was prohibited at that opportunity, and members cannot be paid out for membership. He suggested key concept of the liberation of creatures from profiteering through Guy. I are going to take these truths right into profile in our disagreement in favor of the liberation of the creature empire to our end. Quote. The discussion was a little even more than 3 hours long, lasting just 1.5 minutes, and been composed of the complying with 2 observations, which showed up in the adhering to part of the message. The activists have offered the adhering to debates versus the abolition of commercialism. This is later on clarified as to look for an end to the use of animals through male for food, assets, job, looking, vivisection, and by all other make use of involving profiteering of pet lifestyle by male. The animal-rearing neighborhood is not required under the scalp to deal with any sort of participant of this neighborhood of creatures kindly, nor to help the members, but merely to handle along with the participants. The community was initially enrolled as a charity in August 1964, but its resources were later on transferred to a new charity when it likewise ended up being a restricted firm in December 1979. Billionaire benefactor Gordon Bowers, president of the American Friends of Animals, told The Guardian that after the failure of the British government and the growth of the industrial change, the community was forced to move in advance of the commercialization of their organic setting. The meaning of veganism and the philanthropic objects of the society were amended and fine-tuned over the years. This has led to a considerably better emphasis on the role of community as the foundation of social action and community life for vegan targets. It is vital to be knowledgeable of how this has been analyzed in order to produce contrasts and distinctions concerning how different teams are regarded as for reliable explanations and how they might contrast from one and additional, as properly as for how honest means are no and no within diff. By winter 1988, the current definition was in use, although the phrasing has altered slightly over the years. At winter 1989, the year prior to the first major quake, the meaning was the same.